back, everyone. We are looking at our Week 5 picks. So last week I didn't do very well. I ended up going 9 and 7. Um, but that's just what happens, I guess, sometimes. So for this week, it starts out with Thursday Night Football between the Buccaneers and Falcons. Buccaneers just took care of the Eagles fully, and I was pretty surprised by that. But it looks like the Buccaneers are rolling again after that loss to the Broncos. Um, Falcons coming off that last second field goal win against the Saints. Um, so, the Falcons seem to be kind of figuring things out. Still not fully convinced they're there yet. I think the Buccaneers have overall been a lot more consistent. They've been just a lot more consistent offensively. I think the Falcons, they're 2-2, but they had one game where they looked bad pretty much the whole game against the Eagles until the very end. They were able to pull it out, so I'm just not convinced the Falcons are going to win this one. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Buccaneers to start out here. And next up, we have the Panthers and Bears. I don't know. A lot of people are still counting out the Panthers right now. I'm feeling pretty good about them. I know that since Andy Dalton's took over, obviously that team has looked completely different. He's already thrown 5 touchdowns and only 1 interception in 2 games, which is just miles ahead of where Bryce Young was. And even with Andy Dalton playing, the defense is even playing better. I know they just came off that loss against the Bengals, but the Bengals are a good team despite being 1-3. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Panthers on this one as well. And up next, we have the Jets and Vikings. The Jets just came off of a pretty frustrating loss, to say the least. I mean, the defense showed up. I do not know where that offense is. I mean, you might as well have had Zach Wilson back there. I don't know what is going on right now, but Aaron Rodgers is not playing the football they paid him to play. He did have that good game against the Patriots a couple weeks ago, but it did not show this last week, and it really hasn't showed the other 2 games either. Then on the other hand, you have the Vikings, who just came off of a pretty impressive first 3 quarters against the Packers. They almost blew it at the end, but they were able to hang on. So I got to give them credit for that. I think I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think the Vikings have been just incredible all season, beating the Niners, beating the Texans handily, beating the Packers handily for 3 quarters, like I said. I just don't see the Jets offense pulling much together here, so I'm going to go with the Vikings. Next, we have the Ravens and Bengals. First you have the Ravens, who just came off of by far their best game all season, just completely annihilating the Bills. Derrick Henry ran all over them, and I expect him to do that this week as well. The Bengals' run defense is just awful. I am not confident that they can stop Derrick Henry. I'm possibly even less confident they can stop Lamar Jackson from running all over them, because I've yet to see them do that so far. past however long Lamar Jackson's been playing. And I mean, this would be a huge game for the Bengals. I kind of think this is going to be just about their season. You start out 1-4. I don't see them coming back very easily. It would still be possible, but I think this game is a pretty big indicator of where they are, if they're actually going to make a run for the playoffs, or if they are, excuse me, or if they are just kind of done for this season. Sadly, I'm going to have to go with the Ravens. I am just way more confident in their ability to win this game. And yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens on this. Up next, we have Colts and Jaguars. The Colts are looking a lot better. I mean, they had a couple straight wins here, just beating the undefeated Steelers, which I'm not sure how impressive that is. I mean, it's solid though. Anytime you beat an undefeated team past week 2, you gotta pat yourself on the back. And the Jaguars, on the other hand, are just looking awful, but I just feel like this is about time where the Jaguars figure it out. I mean, they almost beat the Texans last week. I think this is just their week to pull through. I do think the Colts are a better team, but I just feel like this is one of those games where, I mean, the Jaguars are just kind of due for one, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the win here. After that, you have the Dolphins and Patriots, and the Dolphins without Tua just do not look impressive. Even with Tua, they weren't looking that good, and now they are just looking awful. I don't know if I've ever seen Dolphins look this bad before. In the 14 years I've watched them play football, this is not good. And Patriots are not much better, but their defense is good enough that I think they are going to stop the Dolphins in just about every way. So I think as long as the Patriots score 3 points, they have a solid chance to win this game, in all honesty. I do not expect this to be pretty. I don't think it will be pretty. And that is that. Up next, we have the Browns and Commanders. And needless to say, the Commanders are rolling. They just came off of like a 32-point win against the Cardinals, and a pretty impressive win against the Bengals, scoring over 30 points and easily over 30 points in each of their last 2 games. And the Browns have just looked awful. They, started the season getting smothered by the Cowboys, and then they barely beat the Jaguars, which are still the only winless team in the league. I mean, if your only win is against a winless team after, that's currently 0-4, I think that's pretty sad. And you lost to the Giants, being the Giants' only win this season, I'm pretty sure, and you also lost to the Raiders, which is at best a mediocre team. So I'm pretty confident I can go with the Commanders here. I don't really see this being. I could see it being kind of close, but I think the Commanders are pretty heavy favorites here. I feel pretty confident with that. Up next, you have the Bills and Texans. This should be easily one of the best games this week, I think. The Bills, despite that huge loss to the Ravens, I think they are still a really good team and have showed that they can win against top teams this season. So, and then on the other hand, you have the Texans, which, they barely beat the Jaguars and had that big loss to the Vikings. So I'm not sure where to really put each of these teams in comparison to each other. But my gut just says with the Texans being at home, I'm going to go ahead and give them the win here. Up next, there's the Raiders and Broncos. The Raiders are just having one of the craziest seasons out of anyone. Like, I don't think there's another team out there who has had a stranger season. Started the season not getting creamed, but pretty handily getting beat by the Chargers. And then you end up beating the Ravens, which I think will be one of the best teams this year. And then you lose to the Panthers at home, which I think the Panthers are a lot better than people are giving them credit for with Andy Dalton, but that's still not a good look. Followed by barely beating the Browns. I don't really think the Raiders are going to go very far. Like I said before, I think they're at best a mediocre team. And on the other hand, you have the Broncos, who are on the up and up right now. I mean, they are the only team to beat the Buccaneers this season. And I don't think people should take that lightly. I mean, they also followed that up with a super ugly win, but it was a win against the Jets, which, I mean, questionable how much credit to give to the Broncos as opposed to just the Jets being bad, but 2 wins in a row is a big deal in the NFL, and I just think the Broncos have more momentum here, and I think Bo Nix is playing a little more confidently here, so I go ahead and give the win to the Broncos. Up next, you have the Cardinals and 49ers. I think the Cardinals are just really trending downward right now. Ever since they beat the Rams, I mean, they had a close loss to the Lions, but obviously last week they just got annihilated, and I just don't really see them playing super well this week against the Niners. I think it's going to be about the same as when the Niners played the Patriots last week. I think the Niners are going to take care of business. I know the Niners aren't quite where they want to be, but I think this is another solid get-right game that they can take advantage of, so I'm going to give this over to the Niners here. I think they are going to continue to get back to where they're wanting to be. And after that, you have Packers and Rams, which I am not really sure what all to say here. I mean, the Packers looked good and awful with Jordan Love back. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns, but also 3 interceptions. So, I mean, the talent's there, but the rust is also there. So, not totally sure what kind of performance he's going to give. I'm guessing it's going to be about the same, just minus a little bit of the errors. I think he's going to be a bit better than he was last game, but on the other hand, the Rams are just not looking great. I mean, they're injured still. They still have Puka Nacua out. They still have Cooper Kupp out. The Rams are just trying to survive right now, and I think the Packers are on the rise, and I'm going to give this to the Packers. And then after that, you have the Giants and Seahawks. To put it simply, the Giants are bad. The Seahawks are pretty good. I think I mean, it really wasn't a blowout loss to the Lions. It's definitely a disappointing loss, but I think the Seahawks proved that they are a solid team. I mean, only losing by 13 points when you still have the stuff they're trying to figure out on offense, and I just I think the Seahawks are pretty good. I think they're a little underrated still, so I'm going to give this over to them. And then for Sunday Night Football, we have the Cowboys and Steelers. I don't think this will really be all that fun of a game. I think this will be kind of an ugly game. The Steelers offense is figuring it out. Justin Fields is getting his footing for sure. I'm still not super confident in their offense to, really be able to go out there and win them games. And on the other hand, the Cowboys have just been struggling. I mean, you essentially get blown out minus, the comeback they had against the Ravens, and then you follow that up with just a super ugly win against the Giants. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys to pull this out. I feel like this might just be the game where they kind of get it together, but I don't know. I don't think they. I think it's gonna be ugly. The Steelers' defense is gonna really give them problems, but I just think the Cowboys' offense is gonna outdo the Steelers' offense just enough to get the win here. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. And finally, for Monday Night Football, we have Saints and Chiefs. The Saints have lost a couple straight here, I'm pretty sure. Having that loss to the Eagles and then that loss to the Falcons. And the Chiefs being one of two teams that are undefeated, I just feel like the Chiefs are going to pull this out. I don't think the Saints are that team that they showed in weeks 1 and 2. I think they're really going to be more like a 20 points a game type of team. And I think the Chiefs, it doesn't even matter. Regardless of how good the Chiefs are, they're just going to pull it out. We all know it. Somehow they're going to win. And who cares? So, there you have it. These are my picks for this week. Got Buccaneers, Panthers, Vikings, Ravens, Jags, Patriots, Commanders, Texans, Broncos, 49ers, Packers, Seahawks, Cowboys, and Chiefs. All of us should get the W, but of course we'll see. And other than that, hope you have a nice week.